Hey guys, it's Daniel. Welcome back.
The following is from Jim Morrison, Life, Death, Legend by Stephen Davis. I have a lot of videos about the Doors and specifically about Jim Morrison on my channel. If you want to see more and you want to support, the best way is to subscribe, like, and share. Quote,
3 days after Jim Morrison's 27th birthday, on Friday, December 11th, 1970, the Doors went out for what turned out to be one last weekend of concerts. The Friday night shows were at the State Fair Music Hall in Dallas, Texas. In the first, the Doors played some of their new songs, Love Her Madly with No Vocal, The Changeling, L.A. Woman. Jim seemed tired and he became truculent as he swilled malt liquor from a can. Between shows, there were questions about whether Jim could or should go on. He looked haggard, seemed exhausted, and was unusually drunk. But Jim managed to take the stage, although he sang with his back to the audience and hung onto the microphone stand to avoid keeling over. The band hustled the show along, barely pausing between songs. Riders on the Storm received its first and last public performance. During the finale, Light My Fire, Jim tried to cavort around stage, but he collapsed into Robby and both men crashed to the floor and almost fell off the stage. There was no encore. The next night, December 12, 1970, the Doors were booked into the Warehouse, New Orleans' famed electric ballroom. Jim looked somewhat abstracted as the band began with Soul Kitchen, but he shouted out the lyric with conviction, and the full house settled in for what they thought would be a great show. 4 songs in, Jim started to come apart. He tried to tell some lame jokes and no one laughed. When the band got going again, he forgot the lyrics. Between songs, he was lurching around as if he was having a seizure, and the music-savvy crowd got very quiet as they intuited that something was very wrong. Then, in the middle of Light My Fire, Jim Morrison died on stage. He stopped singing and stumbled to the drum riser and sat down. He missed his cue at the end of the guitar solo, unable to stand, so the band anxiously went through another instrumental cycle. When it was time for Jim to finish the song, John Densmore disgracefully rammed his boot in the middle of Jim's back and sharply pushed him upright. Standing again, shaking with anxiety and rage, Jim burst into a tormented fury. He grabbed the mic stand and began smashing it onto the stage floor again and again, until the wooden planks began to splinter. The kids in front looked on in shock. Then the mic stand broke in two. Jim only stopped when tour manager Vince Turner walked out from behind the amps and laid a calming hand on his shoulder. Jim put his arm around Vince for support and stood there, staring, breathing hard, while the Doors finished the song. Then, Jim dropped the microphone and staggered off the stage. The show was over. And so were the Doors. Everyone was deeply shaken by what happened. Ray Manzarek later said that he had witnessed an occult process. The evaporation of Jim's life force, the dispersal of his chi. The band had been through almost every conceivable permutation of hard rock nightmares, but the abject horror of Jim's collapse in New Orleans now jolted them into a new awareness of reality. The limo ride back to the Pontchartrain Hotel was desolate. Jim tried to make small talk, but the others were silent. When Jim got out of the car, Ray said, "Okay, it's finished." Before they flew back to Los Angeles the following day, the Doors and their handlers agreed to suspend concert performances. Jim Morrison never appeared on stage again.